Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So we are going to have a look at the e-invoicing phase 2 requirements. Myself is Basit. I'm with Mass Financial Consultancy. I work from Riyadh. So I will be your presenter as well as the host for the session today. Starting now, most of us are already familiar with the concept of e-invoicing. So we all know what is required from us in terms of e-invoicing. So when that e-invoicing is introduced, they introduced in two phases. The first one is called phase 1, which is the generation phase, where we simply generate the QR code on such invoices. And there are some additional things such as, it has to be stored in your system and it should be tamper proof. Nobody should be able to edit and these kind of things. These are such things we are very familiar with. Now moving forward in phase 2, that is called integration phase, is not applicable for everyone at a time. And ZK has started introducing group, taxpayer group called waves. So there is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and so on and so forth. So under each group, there is a qualifying category, which is by the revenue. So we are going to see that in detail, who are, have to be integrating their system with the ZK portal, and what has to actually happen in that process. So these kind of things we are going to have a look at the session today. Please feel free to use the Q&A button to ask any questions you may have in terms of e-invoicing phase 1 as well as phase 2. Now let's start with a simple explanation of what is e-invoicing phase 2 altogether. So it is, as I said, it is basically integrating your e-invoicing system. So we are all using Tally, and we have to integrate Tally with the ZK portal. That specific portal is called Fatoora. That is how they are calling it, Fatoora portal. So that have to be connected to that Fatoora portal. And then whenever we generate any invoices, that invoices will send to them and it will get validated. So they have system in place where they will check the invoice for certain factors, and then they will validate the invoice and give us a couple of fields. And after that, we can able to share it to our customers. So this is what integration phase is all about. So basically sending our invoices with ZK even before sharing it to our customers. Now, for whom it is applicable, right? Who have to do this integration? So this integration is applicable only for, as I said, a group of taxpayers, not for everyone. So the first taxpayer group is the first taxpayer group is called Wave 1, which is already started from 1st January 2023. It's been already running for 5 months now. This is for companies with the annual taxable revenue of 3 billion riyal in the year 2021. So altogether in that 4th quarter of 2021, if you have submitted your returns for a revenue of 3 billion riyal, you should have already integrated your system starting from 1st January 2023, and the deadline was 30th June 2023. And then we have wave 2, there it is $500 million or 500 million. Okay, 500 million revenue if you have in the year 2021, then you have to have your system integrated from the 1st July 2023, in the coming July, after 1 month. So that would be wave 2 if you have a revenue of 500 million in 2021. Now we have wave 3, which is the taxpayer group 3. This is for 250 million. So this integration have to be done by 1st October 2023. So this will be the 3rd group or wave 3, 250 million in 2021 or 2022. So in any of those year or both of the year, if you have a revenue of 250 million real, then you have to do that. Now the final group is wave 4, which is going to be 150 million real. And again, this is also in year 2021 or 2022, in any of that year or any both of the years, right? So if you have that much revenue, you have to have your system integrated by November 2022, sorry, 2023. And then there will be further waves or further group of taxpayers that have to have it integrated, and it will be announced down the line, right? So now let's say we are coming under any one of these groups. Let's assume that we are coming under any one of these groups. So what we have to do now, the first part is, once we receive notification or once we realize that we have to do this integration, the first part is the solution part, which is identify the solution provider that we are going to use to achieve this specific integration. Now, once that is done, what they will do is they will do something called onboarding or device registration. So basically, from whatever system that we are going to issue that e-invoice for phase 2, that a device or a computer has to be registered with the Zatka portal, that Fatoora portal. Okay, so that is the flow here. The flow basically starts from, we'll go to the, we will have our own portal access with the login ID and the username. And then we will register, log into the IRA portal. And then we will put how many OTP or how many devices that we have that is going to issue invoices, that we will do. And then we will connect to the machine, and that machine is going to generate a cryptographic stamp identifier, right, containing all the information about that specific application, specific system, with along with that security features, with the OTP, where it will get prompted to enter the OTP. There we will enter the OTP as it displays on the Fatoora portal, and then the taxpayer, that specific unit that we have, the machine will go necessary check whether everything is secured in a way. Once that is done, the Fatoora platform will send the request for that cryptographic stamp identifier. Then it will get generated on our machine, right? And we will get awarded with the cryptographic stamp. So this is the first step or the first process to get the cryptographic stamp for our machine. So every machine, let's say you have 2 machines from which you are issuing invoices, both of the machine have to be registered with the Zatka portal. So it is going to be by machine wise. So this is the first process that we are going to do in terms of device registration on onboarding of our computers. Now, once we have done that, then we will move on to the actual process. Now this whole registration process will be done by your solution provider. In Tally's case, it will be done by our end. So we will be visiting your office, registering each and individual machine as per the Zatka portal. We will also make sure that you have proper security checks are there within your system, and then we will register the individual computer device to issue invoice. Then now the actual process of issuing invoices. So now we have two, Zatka have given a two way of issuing invoices. One is for B2B, which is business to business. The other one is B2C. So now we will see the process of B2B. Okay. So in B2B scenario, where as a company, we are issuing invoices to another company. So in that case, what happens as a supplier, as we will issue an invoice through our system. Yeah. So we will issue an invoice from our system that is going to generate the UUID, which is unique user identifier, and then hash, and then XML and counter values. These are the additional value or information that is required by the Zatka portal. So the system will generate the invoice along with this information, and then it is gets sent to the Zatka system. So that is called Zatka clearing system. This is the one which will validate your e-invoices. Upon validation of all the information, it is going to give you whether that cryptographic stamp for the specific invoice, or if there is any issue with that invoice, you will receive that communication where maybe let's say the VAT number is wrong, or maybe the amount is wrong. In any cases, you will get notified what is the problem in that. So let's assume that the invoice is cleared. So once the invoice have all the necessary field, that you will be get that cryptographic stamp and all those things. And once that is done, then you will generate the e-invoice, and these e-invoice will automatically generate and store two things. One is the PDF version of the same invoice, and there is a specific format which is recommended, which has to be saved in that format, which is called A3. So this would be generated along with the XML file, and then the QR code, in addition to that what currently we have, in addition to that QR code will also have some new fields that we will see in the next slide. Along with that, it will get stored in the in our system, right? And these invoices then can be shared to our customers. Further, they can able to validate that e-invoice with the application, such as the one available in the Zatka itself. So this is how the B2B invoicing process works. So to put it in a simple way, before submitting to our client, we need to share that invoices with Zatka. Zatka will validate and give us the green, along with the QR code informations such as UUID, hash, and XML and all. And once we have that, then it will be shared with the supplier. So this is the process for B2B, which is when we are issuing invoices to another company. Now, let's say you are one of the business that you are directly selling into customers, right? So you have end users where these people are not a registered people. Like, for example, to give you an idea, like Jarir, Panda, Watayam, these kind of businesses, they sell directly to the end user, and these people are not VAT registered entities. So in that case, what happens? So basically, you will prepare the invoice through the system, and then you can share it with them before validation itself. So you can able to issue that invoice, and then the customer can able to validate that. And once as a batch, you don't have to upload and validate one by one because of the volume, basically. So when you have a very huge volume of transaction, this can be uploaded as a batch to Zatka clearing system. So it will individually validate all these invoices and then give you these additional fields which are required as per the phase 2. Now, keep in mind, these, even though you can able to upload batches wise, it has to be done within the 24 hours of the generation of invoice. So let's say you have made invoices, let's say you made, let's say 1,000 or 2,000 invoices today. So that have to be uploaded by tomorrow evening, tomorrow 12 o'clock. So if you have 24 hours from the time of invoice generation, so on a daily basis, you have to upload as a batch and get that information validated. And even in case of any issue with any specific invoices, that changes has to be made and then reissued to the customer. So these are the way that B2C invoice will work. And as same as B2B invoice, you still have option to store and archive the invoices in as a Zatka specified XML format to a specific location within your system itself. So this is the process for B2C. Now, in terms of the QR code, you have these changes. So we currently, when we scan, we get 5 fields, right? That is what you are seeing in the screen now. So you are getting five fields here, right? The company name, your VAT number, the date and time stamp, and then how much is the total invoice value or how much is the VAT value. That is normally what we get when we scan. Now, moving forward, for the companies where they have set up that phase 2, they will additionally get the hash of XML, cryptographic stamp, and UUID. So these are the additional 3 fields that the QR code will have once the phase 2 of the integration phase is set up for them. So that will also change in terms of QR code. Now we will see what are the technical aspects. So we are going through some terminology, right? Hash, XML, UUID, what are those things? Okay, so XML is basically a format or a document where the machine can able to read. It is not human readable, but it is machine readable. So it is the same invoice where the Zatka machines, that computers can able to read in a much faster way. So for that machine readable format, that is that XML format that we are talking about. So that is called XML format. And then PDF with XML. This is both human readable as well as machine readable. So this is, it looks like a normally any PDF file, and this file will also contain or embedded itself with the XML file itself. So these file can be human readable as well as readable by the Zatka servers. So that is the PDF. So these are the two files that will get created in your archive. Currently also, if you have archive any of e-invoices, you will see that it will generate PDF as well as XML. So in the phase 2, there will be changes inside the XML files, which is not like identifiable by the human eyes, but within the file structure itself, it will change. And then we are talking about UUID. So this is something called it's a 128-bit unique number, which is unique to your system, within your system. So this is to identify from which system it got generated, from which company it got generated, which is unique to yourself. That is will be UUID generation number. And then certain other things such as a tamper resistant counter to prevent any mismatch in the sequence. So every next invoice will automatically have the hash of a previous invoice. Again, hash is we will see what is hash as well. So this is to like prevent anybody from tampering it basically, or to keep a log of any kind of tamper happened in the first place itself. And then here this is for each invoice to contain the previous invoice hash. As I said, this is to preserve the sequencing of invoice. So we have, let's say, invoice number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So invoice number 6 will have the hash information of invoice number 5. So invoice number 5 will have hash information of invoice number 4. So it is also necessary that we issue invoices in a sequential order to preserve this hash value as well. And then we already saw details of the QR code that is going to change along with the details of phase 1 we have already, along with these three information. And then we also saw what is cryptographic stamp in the beginning of the session, which is given to each individual machine as it generate, and it is a way to validate that the e-invoice which is generated is validated and it is a genuine one. This is the hash of XML. Again, this is not readable by human. It is within that XML file which is generated by the system. So this will capture any way of tampering or any kind of manipulation happen to the original data. With this help, Zatka can able to identify what is the change made in that. And then, as I mentioned before, it also help preserve the the sequencing of invoicing. And then, of course, we need to have internet so that we can able to submit this information to the Zatka Fatoora portal, so that we can able to get the thing. So that has to have. And then finally, we have that CSR token. Again, this is a way for us to identify that whatever we generated in terms of B2C transactions is generated from the proper system for the proper taxpayer. So that would be the CSR token. It is a way to validate and prevent any misuse for the same. Now, in terms of electronic e-invoice sequencing, so this is an example of sequencing. So it should be, as I said, you should not have multiple sequencing. It should be one single sequence for the entire company. So having multiple sequence is prohibited as per the phase 2 requirements. So now a quick overview and comparison between the phase 1 and phase 2. This is something that we have already seen. So QR code generation, which is applicable in both phases, tamper proof and detailed audit logs, which is to prevent any misuse, as well as like to log any changes that made, which is applicable for both. Archiving the invoices in your local system, which is available, is mandatory in both cases. Single or unique invoice sequence series, again maintaining a single sequence for all your company, that is there. And then storing and validating the fields, as we have seen by scanning that QR code, how it validates. And then these are the other fields which are only applicable from the phase 2, which is generation of universally uniquely identifier, which is EUID, generation of the cryptographic stamp, issuing invoices along with the format of XML and PDF A3 as per the ZK format. And then the digital fingerprint of a document, which is the hash, and then invoice tamper resistant counter value. This is to prevent any tampering of the e-invoices. And then finally the integration with ZK portal through API. So these things are have to be done for phase 2. And then specifically looking at the phase 2 fields which are now currently introduced are that universal unique identifier that we have seen, which is present to be included in the XML file, invoice counter values to be present in the XML file, that cryptographic stamp, right? And then the previous invoice hash that should be. So these things are to be present in the XML file. So one key thing I would like to highlight here is, if you can see here, cryptographic stamp. Everything is generated by the e-invoice solution, which is like, for example, in our case, it will be generated by Tally. For standard B2B invoices, that will be generated by ZK. So once upon successful validation of the invoice, that cryptographic stamp will be generated by the ZK itself for B2B invoices. So now we'll see how the infrastructure work. So whether you are having a POS system or a normal system for invoice generation, so that will get prepared, and with our e-invoicing phase 2 solution, the transaction will get validated as per the ZK portal, and then it will generate the required fields and required XML files, and then you will be able to validate the cryptographic stamp and sign and QR, and then you will be able to archive the e-invoices as well as the updated QR. And then finally, that will get stored back to your system. At the same time, you can able to share it with the with your client in the A3 or PDF format. So this is in terms of the B2B process. So as you can note that this is happening upon validation of invoice. The invoice submission to customers happens after the validation. So here in this case, you can able to issue invoices more or less the same way. Only example that we have seen for B2C before is that you can able to share the invoices with the client right after preparing it, but you have to validate the invoice within 24 hours of the preparation. Infrastructure wise, it is going to be the same. And moving to the next one, which is how we can plan for or getting ready for this integration, right? So the best approach is to, from the date of deadline, how many days we need to get this thing ready. So approximately for anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks we need, so that we can able to get ready by the deadline it is needed. It is not like you have to get ready on that first of that date that they mentioned. Let's say 1st November itself. It's not like 1st November itself you have. So as long as the first you have invoices to issue on 1st November, you have to get ready. So after that date, you have any invoices to make, that has to be done through the phase 2 formality only, phase 2 method only. It cannot, after that certain date, you won't be able to issue invoices in the current way. So if you don't have any invoices to issue, you have, let's say, some businesses, they don't do monthly invoices, they do, like every other month there will be one invoices in bigger values. So in those cases, whenever you have to get ready, you have to have that system in place to issue that e-invoice as per the formality. And then normally there will be rigorous amount of testing, right? To be careful and to prevent any user made errors, there will be testing of the same process, without sending the information to Zatka, to make sure that the team, the users are able to do that. And then once we have that, we will we will check the system readiness also, how that system is handling to the the demands of how many invoices we are making, how much time it is taking to validate. So these all happens to optimize the time required to upload the invoices. And then so this is the timeline where normally it takes, this is in number of days, to do a requirement analysis. It took around 15 days, and to set up and deploy the e-invoice API, 7 days, solution design, so on and so forth. So approximately around 45 days we need to finish from start to end. So that covers most of what have to be done in terms of phase 2. So let's look at some of the frequently asked questions, and then we will go to your questions if you have. So if you have any questions which is not covered in the FAQ, please feel free to raise in the Q&A. So the first thing is, do I need to connect my ERP with Zatka e-invoicing portal, or can I use a middleware? Okay. So middleware is something like where, let's say that you are using an application which is not capable of connecting with the Zatka portal. There you can have Tally in between, where Tally will take the information from your software and then reconverts it and send it to Zatka portal in the required format. So Tally will act in the middle as a middle software to process that information. So as long as the middleware can able to do that, you can able to use with any of your software. So if you are already using SAP or Microsoft Dynamics, where you are not able to set up that solution directly syncing with the Zatka portal, then you can use Tally to do that specific process. And then, is there any specific size or resolution requirement for QR code? So it is not clearly mentioned that you have to have that QR code in this much size or this much resolution or anything, as long as it is readable by a smartphone camera, and this is perfectly fine. And is your point of sale or ERP should be certified by Zatka for e-invoicing. So currently Zatka doesn't have any such requirement currently, maybe at a later stage, but right now they have not given any list of softwares or any certification to any kind of software. That's my e-invoicing needs to be cloud-based. There are certain people, they are misunderstanding the requirement for integration with cloud. You don't have to have that. You can have your system locally in your machine, and Tally will connect with the Zatka portal over online. You don't have to keep your system cloud-based or keep it online or anything. Does my invoicing system needs to be constantly connected to the internet for phase 1? Yes, time to time you have to have your system connected to the system. In some cases where it is a problem, like you have an internet connectivity issue or anything, at least there should be connection to Zatka portal, connection to internet on a on and off basis at least. There should be access to it. In terms of phase 2, it is compulsorily required. In terms of phase 1, at least on and off, you have to have that connection to receive any kind of updates from Zatka or us from Tally. So now, how can I share my invoice with the customer? So it is going to be the same way how you normally print and how you normally share over email, right? As long as it is agreed by your customers, it can be shared in any shape or form or any medium as well. So a printed is also fine, or shared over electronically is also fine. There is no requirement specifically dictated by Zatka in terms of the like how you have to share. And then is there any specific format required for storage of transaction? As we saw before, the transaction will be stored automatically in XML format. That XML format is also as per the ZK standards along with the PDF. So that information is automatically done by that. And then again, similar question to the one before, should our system should be certified for ZK for phase 1? Again, there is no such requirement right now, but there is a list of recommended solution provider from where we can able to get the list. So there is no certification process, but there is an accreditation process where they have tested Tally and given accreditation for both e-invoicing 1, and we also got validated for phase 2 as well. So again, one more question is, I still I get surprised by, when I visit few customers where they use Excel or Word to prepare e-invoices. There are still people who does that, not properly understanding the consequences of using it. So this is a requirement of phase 1 itself. So this is something like you should create awareness among your vendors as well as your clients as well. So if you see somebody maybe from your business circle or from your family circle, impress on them that the compulsory or requirement of maintaining having a software to issue e-invoices. Generating using Word or Excel file is prohibited since December 4th, 2021 itself. So it is highly not legal to issue e-invoices using that format. And then the last question is, how we will scan the QR code? Do we have to provide any app or any services for that? There is no need for that. ZK have an app that currently scan the QR code and show us the details. So there are multiple apps on the market, but I recommend using the official ZK app from the Play Store or App Store. That always gives the proper information, and whenever there is an update also, you can able to get notified from there as well. And upon the phase 2, they have updated that app so that when you can read the phase 2 QR code, you will get a certain different information. Phase 1 QR code, you will get a certain information. So that covers the session today. I will go back to the questioning. So if you have any questions, please feel free to share it via chat or Q&A. I think there is no other question. So if you have any, please feel free to reach us out. Reach out to me, myself, Basit, or any of our team, Azhar or Mr. Khalid. You can reach out to any of us if you want to get more details on this. And what else? That's it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed the session. I hope you also found the session useful. And after the session, you will be receiving this webinar link, a video link as well. So if you want to share it with anybody for further awareness and education, please feel free to do that as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to see you on next one. Thank you.